Everybody. He's
There we
doing stuff. Hey, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Parents Lounge. I'm Jamie Kaler, joined as always by my pal, Jason Gowan. We have a fantastic show for you tonight.
We do.
You good?
What?
You good?
No, I'm not good, Jamie Kaler.
No, actually, we got a lot of stuff to talk about this week. If you're a parent and you want to feel great about your life choices, then stick around for the next hour or so because we got a lot of stuff to get off our chest. We have a great show tonight. We're joined by our resident mom. You might know her from Bring It On and Buffy the Vampire Slayer, or her new Hoppin' podcast, Fan Addicts, which is a fantastic thing.
It's so interesting, like getting to know all the things that the different people she has on are into. It's pretty cool.
Super interesting. And also tonight we have an old friend of mine. He is on Better Things. You might know him from Community. He's super funny. We go way back. It's going to be fun. My pal Greg Cromer's here tonight. But we got a lot to do. We got a lot to chat about. My daughter had surgery yesterday. We'll talk about. Your kids almost killed you numerous times, I think, during the week.
Well, I had a date night, and I was so broken at one point this week. You called me and found me where?
When
you called me at like 9 o'clock at night. Where was I? Which would have been midnight here.
Most of the time I call you, you are curled up. Oh my God, you were sitting in your car in the driveway eating Carl's Jr. or Jack in the Box or something horrific.
I was eating McDonald's cheeseburgers, crying
and you were like near tears. It went south quickly. And I called. It was a mental health check-in. We talk about that every week. Like, this is our mental health check-in with cocktails. But I thought you might need one midweek, and I called you, and you were like, "Dude, I'm not going to make it." That's right. Okay, we'll get to that, because sometimes you get caught up in your own world and you forget that everyone else is in the same hell that you are.
Yes.
So we'll remind people what parental hell is like with Greg Cromer and Clare Kramer. But we're going to give you 90 seconds during our opening credits to go pour yourself a drink.
Or seven.
Or seven or so. So that's it, buddy. You ready?
I'm ready.
Credits. Could have homes on separate coasts, go dive in Greece with squids. Could have been so bleeping rich, but instead we had kids. They won't smile for a photo, they won't eat the food we choose. That's why we're heading to the Parents Lounge to drown ourselves in booze. Every day we're more exhausted, we haven't slept in years. They hit me in the nuts so bad, my eyes filled up with tears. And yes, we'd like to fake our death and go off of the grids, but the truth is we are softies and we truly love our kids. So join us every Tuesday night to laugh at all our pain. Evening in the Parents Lounge is the cure to staying sane. Welcome, everybody. We're joined by Claire. Let's just bring Greg in. Let's bring everybody in and rock this.
You got it.
All right. Greg Cromer, Clare Kramer, the Cromer Hour.
Cromer versus Kramer.
Yeah.
Cromer versus Kramer.
Really quick, I want to say hi to a bunch of our regulars. Krista Rokita's here, and Maureen O'Malley, who's here every week. She's got her wine. She's excited to hang. Craig's here.
Yeah.
Let me hear from you guys if you have questions and stuff. Let's chat. I had a crazy ass week, but let's talk to our newest dad in the group, Mr. Cromer. I ran into you at an audition. I hadn't seen you in like 2 years, and we were like, "Hey, man, how are you?" And we were like, "Yeah, how's it going?"
Yeah, that's going on. Yeah, it was the first one I was at in like, I don't even know how long, like in person. Yeah. And I was hoping I'd run into some of the regular crowd, but you were the only one. I didn't. Although, yeah, everybody saw us wear masks everywhere, so I could, I knew you because you had stopped for a minute and you were talking, but you can't see anybody's face.
No, and I got so used to that I was like, that's why we talked about the fact that we all drank every day during the pandemic because we weren't going to be on camera and we were wearing masks. So It was like, if I had to wear a mask all the time in life, I would just be drunk all the time. I don't think you could stop me.
It would be nice, right? Wouldn't it just be, you'd just be drunk. You could be just sit back and just mow back Doritos and don't worry about shaving. Although half the time, who am I kidding? I don't really worry about half of that stuff anyway, I guess.
Does the mask, like, are you guys referring, like, the mask hides the smell, or it hides your facial expressions and what
smell? You I wasn't even going to the smell. I was going strictly aesthetic. Like, no, the smell is. I mean, I wonder. Yeah.
Here's where it helped me. I feel like I have okay eyes, but the rest of my face is a little Danny DeVito-ish. So the mask helped me by because look, if you just saw that, I have a butter face, I guess, and then it was just.
No, come on. You know what's funny? I went and worked on a show, Call Me Cat. Call Me Cat. Like shortly after they started opening things back up a little bit, but still everybody had to wear their mask, the whole time, and then they had to wear a plastic. By the time we got down to rehearsal night, it was like a plastic shield that you could see through. But you could tell everybody was so used to wearing a full mask that they weren't communicating with their whole face. Like you walk down a hallway and you'd see people be like but you can see their mouth wasn't doing you can use your mouth now.
Everyone's doing their best like Bela Lugosi because you know how he used to every movie with him like this.
Exactly.
That's all it is. It's eye acting.
The other thing that was great about the mask is like at children's sporting events, I was suddenly able to be like 20 times more vocal and no one could pin it on me.
Right.
Who was yelling, you could yell at the ref and then just like look away like it was someone else over there. But it was like nice, that release of your frustration was very good with the mask. That was one of the benefits.
Well, the bad thing is now the masks are coming off, and I used to have an excuse. Like people would come up and go, "Hey, it's me, Bob," and I go, "Bob, I'm sorry with the mask. I didn't recognize you." And now he walks up with no mask, and I'm like, "Hey, man," he's like, "It's Bob," and I go, "Oh, yeah." Like I just don't know anybody's name, but the mask is an excuse.
In reverse. Yeah. Oh, I don't recognize you without the mask. It's been so long.
That's right. I got to start doing that. It was funny too because we were talking. Like my wife's gone tonight; she has a dinner, and I am. So I have the kids, and I was talking to Greg too, and I was like, and Claire, everybody in the show is like, we're never prepared because we're scrambling at the last second, taking care of our kids. My kids are one's on a couch with an iPad, the other one's in a room with an iPad, and I go, all right, Daddy's gonna be on for like 90 minutes, so don't leave the house. That's really it. Don't leave the house.
I'm 3 hours ahead of you, and I still am not prepared when we start this show.
Yeah, that's true. That's bad and funny. Claire, I didn't know school today. You had, did you get a call from school or something, Claire?
Oh, me? Yeah. Well, first, Jamie, I want to give you a tip, okay? With the kids and leaving the house, first of all, it's really the only reason to have an ADT alarm is so you get the door chimes. You can activate it where you can hear the door, and I had all my windows now. Now that I have teenagers, I have the windows rigged as well. So every place has a chime. And then when I lock it down at night, any door or window that opens, the alarm, I'm like, police come, the fire trucks come, possibly, the FBI will come and take you away if you try to open those doors past 9 p.m. So there's a tip. Start working with the girls.
We never used the alarm, but we just used what you're talking about, the doors, so we could tell if they were trying to escape.
Yeah. But Claire's gonna walk into one of the kids' rooms and they're gonna be like the Great Escape. They're gonna be tunneling. They're gonna have a
Shawshank Redemption. Like I pull a poster off the wall and like there's a tunnel to
Yeah, but that's why you set up tripwire at the end of the block.
My twins literally together grabbed hold of the molding on our door that holds the deadbolt, and they pulled it off, and then they went out. At 3 years old, the two of them knew, like raptors, to work together. They grabbed a hold of the side and yanked it till it came out and went out in the yard. And all while I was in the bathroom. I'm not allowed to poop here.
But then his kids also locked him out of the house as well. So those kids are evil.
Yeah, you got to be impressed by that. You can't even get mad.
We should throw some props because Cheryl, by the way, we talked about you after last week's show, Cheryl Gibson. Mm-hmm. She may have to come on the show sometime. Hilariously funny. She goes, I just had a firm bleeding or on fire rule. Like, do not bother me unless you're bleeding or on fire, or both. She's like, Mom. The kid says, Mom. And she goes, you better be on fire.
Yeah, bleeding or on fire. I like that. Speaking of on fire, so Jamie, our kids go to the same school. I got a panicked call like around 12:15 today from our nurse, our resident nurse at the school, and she was like, I'm calling because I have a situation. And I'm like, okay, like what? Like immediately I was like, there's a fire, something has happened, I don't know. So I'm like, okay, what? She's like, well, Hart just threw up, who's my 4th grade son. And I'm like, okay, well, what? And she's like, I don't know. Someone brought bad cupcakes. They brought bad cupcakes to recess. And now 9 of the kids have thrown up and the rest are doubled over in stomach cramps. And I'm like, where did the cupcakes come from? And also, does Hart really need me to pick him up? Because after they throw up, aren't they getting better from like the food poisoning? And she's like, yes, he does need you to pick up. And the cupcakes came from Gelson. So I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to be a few minutes, but I'll get there. So I get in my car, I drive to school. I already have one kid homesick who's like, I'm too tired. I'm like, okay, fine. I can't fight with you. Stay home. You can stay home alone.
I don't understand the concept of cupcakes being around so long that they've gone bad. I don't understand.
Okay, so I go to pick up Hart.
Okay, keep going, but I have a lot of questions. So
Yeah.
this is how Claire's stories work. Claire tells a story, then we ask a million questions.
There's a lot of questions. So I get there, I get to the school, I get buzzed in, I look, Hart's like there with a bag, like, and I said to one of the teachers as I'm walking, I'm like, what happened with that? Who poisoned the kids with cupcakes? She's like, I don't know. They were from Gelson's. They looked fine, whatever. So I walk in, there's like 4 or 5 kids sitting there with like, plastic little trash can liner bags, not real sturdy either. I would have given them something more, ready. It's like Stand By Me. They're all like ready to throwing up. So I sign him out, bring him home. He swore he threw up in the bathroom. I see no proof. I smell him. I'm like, breathe on me. No, doesn't smell like vomit. I'm like, okay. So I get him home. I start texting the other moms. It may have been a ruse. We don't know yet if it was true food poisoning of the 4th grade or the 4th grade had a coup and they just all decided this is a great way to leave school. But
that's
anyway,
a savage 4th grade.
20 of them left.
This feels like a film. This film's like the opening act for a movie. Right. Greg, you want to start with the questions? I see you shaking your head just like me. Where's your first question, Greg?
My first question is, I love that she has an actual timer on when food poisoning might or might not kick in and how long it'll last. Shouldn't it be ending by now, the food poisoning? But what was the other thing? The thing you just said at the end of the story was you were talking about the kids. If it's a complete ruse, you almost have to congratulate these kids and kind of like promote them to the 5th grade at that point, right?
I did. I had him breathe on me, and I was like, I smell like a scent of what could be throw up, but I also am not like 100% sure. You know what I mean? And I also questioned the timeline because she said it happened at recess, which would have been between 9:40 and 10. I didn't get the call till 12:15. There was the claim of a throw up, which I never saw him throw up. And then, usually once you throw up, it's out of your system. You're good, especially if it's something like small, like a cupcake.
Sure. I think food poisoning, though, lasts for like 24 hours, doesn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, it definitely does.
But I have eaten something bad before that's like, okay, once that's out of your system, you're okay.
Yeah, I've eaten some bad things in my life. My question is, you kept saying, who brought the cupcakes? And the person kept saying, they're from Gelson's. Who brought the cupcakes? And what were they for?
It was a child's birthday.
Okay.
And so then I dug deeper into that. I said, were they off-brand or were they like, what brand were they? Were they, sprinkles, cupcakes, packaged at Gelson's? Were they the Gelson's brand? And Hart's like, I don't know, but they were supposed to be chocolate and vanilla mix, like marble cupcakes. And he said the chocolate tasted off and the vanilla tasted like lemon.
Man, you really murdered
guys. Did you guys go to? There's a cupcake store called Lemon Shit Cake. Did you happen to go there?
I think that was the flavor, actually.
It might have been lemon shit cake. They're really good, but they really do kind of go after you.
Well, it was. Lemon
You're like, what were the flavors? There was sawdust, dirt, liver, and dog feces. Wait, was that a flavor? That's a weird.
Well, the dog feces is more of a topping. Yeah.
Here's my other question. You kind of allude. She said she saw 9 other kids throw up, but the way your story kind of goes, it feels like they all said they threw up in the bathroom and then showed up. She never saw anyone throw up.
I saw them holding bags.
Did you see anybody throw up?
No, and I didn't smell any with my.
Did the nurse see anybody throw up?
I cannot definitively say yes or no, but she did say Hart is the last one I'm sending home, and Hart was on the sign out sheet like number 8 or 9.
Okay.
So
Man,
it
these
seems
kids
like
are committed.
once the kids got it rolling, it like started rolling. And then, by the way, he came home. He did have no further throw up, no stomach issues, and was fine the rest of the day.
Yeah, you promote those kids.
You know what I really took out of that story was, man, a cupcake sounds really good right now. That's the wrong approach.
Honestly, it was the same takeaway I had from the second the word cupcake came out.
She's like, cupcakes. I go, yeah, it sounds delicious.
But like school is so contradictory in that way, because they're like, oh, let's do PE, let's teach health and nutrition, let's have and we do have at our school great like lunch options with chef who comes in and cooks. But then there's a vending machine, which they put in like 2 years ago. And then everyone and their brother brings Krispy Kreme, cupcake, like soda, this juice, blah. So it's a conundrum of how far do you, sorry, my daughter's sitting here like off camera.
Hey, River, what's up?
What up, River?
All right. Do you need anything immediately, or are you good?
You see, this is how the show goes, Greg. Wait, like daycare. This is like daycare.
So anyway, that's enough. Greg, you had a school story today too, right? You had a school. Oh
God, I have school stories. But first, I have to get back to the point. Did you say your kids the cafeteria has a chef?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's awesome. He's a great guy. I shop with him for the festival. I go to have you ever been to this Restaurant Depot? You have to be a member of or something. Mm-hmm. So I go to kind of lift. We have to do hours at our school, so I go and help the chef. He's the awesome cat. And we shop awesome. At this crazy place in the valley. You go down some industrial street and it's like Restaurant Depot, and you walk in and it's like Costco, but instead of 5 things of ketchup, it's like 22 things of ketchup. The portions are insane.
You don't have a cart, you have like a dolly, like a furniture moving semi kind of, your own semi.
It was really fun. I was like, I felt like a little kid, in a store, this is awesome.
How did you get that job, Taylor? How did they give that job to you?
Yeah,
because no one else would take it. It's not a great job right now.
Did you guys swing by Gelson's on the way back to the school?
I did. I got some chocolate vanilla cupcakes, and I've been pooping my brains out ever since. Is that?
Yeah. Yes. What you were talking about school stories. God, what was my daughter came home one time, and this was a couple years back when she still was trying to figure out how to say certain words. And, you don't want to correct them because you want them to keep doing it. You don't want the stages to go by. And she came home and she wanted to play restaurant. So we sat down at the table and she's like, okay, so I'm going to serve you. You're going to be the customer. And you're just going to ask me what, you're going to ask, put in your order, and I'm going to go get it and I'll bring it back and then you'll pay. I said, okay, good. Okay. What's the game called? And she said, it's called Eat, Sit. I was like, oh, well, that's simple. Eat, sit. So she comes over. She's like, what would you like? I tell her. She brings me my food. And she says, eat, sit. And I'm like, well, you don't have to say the title of the restaurant, anyway, she goes, okay. And she goes to get my food, comes back, brings me my food. Long story short, we finish eat, sit. And she goes over onto the couch and I said, babe, how's your day today? She said, oh, it was fun. I played with Koos. And I was like, you played with Koos? And she said, yeah. And I said, that's your friend? And she said, yeah. And I said, so what is Koos? What's his story? Have I met him before? And she goes, no, it's Koos. I said, I know, baby, Koos. She goes, no, it's Koos. I was like, and my wife comes downstairs and I looked at her and I was like, I don't I think she's got a problem. I think she's got an issue. Like she can't understand English. Maybe it's a hearing thing. And she goes, oh, no, she can't. She's having trouble saying her H's still, like her SH. And I was like, oh, I go, baby, koosh? And she said, yeah, koosh. Like, oh, okay. And she goes, do you want to play some more Eat Sit? And I was like, wait a minute.
That's a very George Carlin story. There's some
Wait a second.
phonetics. You got to pay attention to get that one.
So I still to this day don't know if the game was called Eat Sit or if it was, But wait, do you guys have daughters? Does anyone have daughters?
Those two do. I do not.
Has anyone gotten to how old?
My girls are 14 and 12.
Oh,
and my boys are 10 and 8.
She's there. She's rounding third.
Yeah. Well, we started this show. It's called. My wife came to me one day and she said, "There's this new show on. I think it's on Netflix. It's called Anne with an E, and it's about Anne of Green Gables." And I heard. She goes, "Have you seen Anne of Green Gables?" I was like, "Michelle, no, I have not. Why would I have ever seen that show?" She goes, well, we should watch it. It's good for the kids. It's good for them to learn lessons, like not bullying and accepting people. I'm like, oh, good. All right. So it's like family show night. And but I feel like I'm going to be falling on the grenade on this one, with Anne with an E. We watched the first episode. We watched another episode. And I'm like starting to get into the show. I like it. It's good. To the point where like days later, dinner's over. It's like, all right, it's bedtime. I'm like, yeah, you know what, guys? We still got to get one of those episodes of Anne with an E.
That show. Yeah.
So one episode we're watching, my daughter's 9, and she's deathly afraid of, if she gets a scrape, she'll pass out. Anything blood, any, my son doesn't care at all. So we're watching, I just got an ESPN notification. So we're watching Anne with an E, right? We're watching Anne with an E. And Anne gets her period. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, I kind of start to sweat a little bit. And I start thinking to myself, well, I know she's sitting kind of behind me. And I look over and she's just like, she goes, now most of the things in the show aren't that deep, but she's like, what is happening? And my wife is like, well, and I looked at my wife. I'm like, well, is this going to happen? She said, well, it happens to girls and it's a blessing and it means that they can have kids, in the future. And she's like, the first thing she says is, well, is it going to happen to Deco, her brother? Mm-hmm. My wife's like, well, no, babe, it's just girls. And she's like, does anything happen to boys? And I kind of looked at my wife. I was like, she's like, no, actually not much at all. So she's been deathly afraid for like, the good thing is the communication lines are open now for that, right? Mm-hmm. So she's talking to her about it. Good. But she's only 9. I'm like, a month she's going around talking about this. We watched the next episode of Anne with an E. They're going to lose their farm, right? The brother, he has a heart attack. He's now in the hospital. He can't tend to the land. He says to his sister, who owns a house with him, he says, maybe it's better if I die. I'm like, oh my God, here's another deep episode. My daughter said, wait, why does he want to die? And we said, well, if he dies, baby, then they'll have money to keep the farm. And she goes, wait a second. When you die, you turn into money? And I was like, well, I guess. You kind of do. But this Anne with an E is something I recommend. It actually has some good lessons in it, but some that you might want to be prepared for if you haven't already hit that.
Can you imagine if people turned into money when you killed them? There would be a lot more murder.
Rich.
Life insurance fraud.
So, well, Claire, you has anyone seen Turning Red, right?
Yeah, we watched it.
I didn't see it, but somebody told me that's what it means. Turning Red.
Movie. It's called the period movie.
It's a coming of age movie, yes, and it definitely gets touched on, and it also is
Turning Red.
Well, it's It's also the reason that my 6-year-old son came to me last weekend and said, "Hey, Dad, I just wanted to let you know I just got my period." And I was like, "Oh, okay. Well, let's go talk to Mom."
So
My kids have watched that movie 22 times. I didn't even know what it was.
yeah, I mean, people are like losing their minds online. Like, oh my God, if your kids don't know about, periods or menstruation, please don't let them watch this movie. And I'm like, oh my gosh, please, come on, people. But I will give my PSA on how I explained a period for anyone who may want to gain some insight into this. I feel like I did a pretty good job. And again, I've talked about how I talked about like sex and condoms and stuff with my kids. I plowed ahead. I kind of had horse blinders on and I just plowed ahead. But this is the analogy I used. And I feel like it worked out pretty well with my girls. I said, you know how when you brush your hair and you have a hairbrush and you're brushing your hair, and then every once in a while, every couple of weeks with your hairbrush, there's all this extra hair in there. You've got to take that hair and pull it out of the hairbrush and throw it away. Otherwise, your hairbrush gets too clogged up and you can't use it anymore. They're like, yeah, that happens all the time. And I'm like, well, your body as a woman is kind of the same. Every couple weeks, you've got to take that hair from the hairbrush and throw it away. But your body does it by, menstruating. And they were like, oh, cool. So that's the easy conversation that the preschool teacher at the time helped. They weren't in preschool, but my boys were, helped me come up with that analogy. And it's very like accessible, quick, easy. And then my tactic with these big conversations is get in there, give the info, back off. And then they'll come to me with questions later, like drop it like a bomb and then get out of there.
Wait, so what did you do for did you have to cover the sex conversation?
That was a different conversation. Yes.
Sure. Yeah, it's definitely not a hairbrush involved.
That conversation happened earlier.
Could be. Okay, yeah, no judging.
I mean, it depends. I've seen some Jobo. I'm sure Jobo got a serious comment about that.
Yeah, no, at one point, like when I was pregnant, because I was pregnant and had all my kids basically within 5 years, and the young one was like, is the baby going to come out of your mouth? And I'm like, no, I really need to set the record straight. So with that one, it was more, I didn't get into detail or use like the terms, but I was like, you have to have the woman, you have to have part of the man, and then when they
wait, part of the man. All you need is a part of the man.
Just literally a little part. You don't need.
And he doesn't need to be there for very long.
He doesn't.
The sex conversation for me came a lot earlier than the period conversation. Because there was a lot of questions about where's my brother and sister coming from? Like, what's happening? Why did I, so that part was kind of taken care of. And then the period thing was like the new thing that was introduced. You know what I mean? But now we talked about last week, I have my boys who are 10 and 8. And the 10-year-old, I mean, they're both small for their age. So I think I'm a couple years away still from maybe puberty hitting. But, well, actually, Sky's big, but Heart's small. So they basically are like twins. But we talked last week about the book that Guy Stuff, which I totally ordered on Amazon.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm.
Because I ordered my girls the What's Happening to Me, or what's the Care and Keeping of You. That's what it is. Anyway, this is all deep, deep stuff. And I'm sure let's go back to like having fun.
No. This is honestly Claire.
I mean, it's real parenting. I mean, I guess it's kind of
the way Claire explains it. I think eventually halfway through the kids are like, I'm lost. And then they just lose interest and they move on.
And then I leave, and then
they have a lot of questions. It should be like, you have the hairbrush and you brush your hair. And, like once a month, there's some extra eggs in the refrigerator. But, you can't, they go bad. So those got to get thrown out. But you still make sure you're brushing. And what your body's doing is just, the gardener comes by. And then you got to make sure the roof on the house doesn't have any leaks. And then there's the pool.
You know what, Jamie? The simpler you make it, the easier it is for them. And then, like, I'm serious. Like, the best time I feel, and I've said this on this show before, the best time I feel to have a conversation is when you're driving, because no one has to look at each other. They can look out the window. you're driving, so you're like, okay, I'm just going to my destination, but I'm gonna drop this little truth bomb in here, about whatnot. And it's a great way to talk to your kid. You don't have to sit down. My philosophy is you don't have to sit down and have this like super formal, like uncomfortable discussion. You could just truth bomb at different moments as you're going through life, and then they'll come to you with questions, and then you answer them.
See, go ahead. Go ahead, Greg.
You're not truth bombing the hairball story while you guys are enjoying some meatloaf or anything, right? Like,
oh, it's delicious.
Careful.
That was like a moment. That was like a special moment.
When you're super stressed, so huge patches of your hair are falling out, and you're starting to wear wigs. You're wearing a hat. You got a hat on for like a month. Everyone's like, "What's up with a hat?" And you go, "It's a fashion statement. Shut up." And then the story and finally the kids are like, "I got it, Ma. Whatever. I don't care."
We're good.
Yeah.
And then I would just go, here's a YouTube video. Watch this YouTube video, and there you go.
I'm probably the worst. Like, I'm not a psychologist, a psychiatrist. I'm not any of that. But, I do just try to be relatable. That's probably maybe not the best way. I don't know. Who knows? But it's what I'm trying.
Listen, Maureen says, Claire, that's great advice.
With the teenagers, I'm just like, each morning, just going back in. Just, hey, like, okay, I said, let's reset. Everybody start fresh. It's a new day, a new chance to do things right. Let's go,
Jobo's got the answer. Just go to Alexa. What's an orgasm? Jobo.
Actually, her answer is, I don't know that right now.
Does anyone have an Alexa near them? Let's find out.
That's actually a really good idea.
I don't have one in here.
I like Jobo's other comment, too. He goes, I think I might be too scientific. I explained to my kid where babies come from, and it looked at me. I love that he calls his kid it. It looked at me with a face full of disgust. That'll teach him to ask me real questions. Like when the kids go, where do we go when we die? Nowhere. Worms are going to eat you. You're a mushroom. Relax, Chief. Enjoy the ride. It's almost over. And then the kid's like, Daddy's making me cry.
Oh my God. On another note, my mom once buried in one of those like pods where it's like the nature will like disintegrate your body and you'll turn into a tree. And I'm like, Mom, I don't know if I'm emotionally ready for this. Like my dad died 8 years ago. We haven't buried him yet. He's still sitting in his cremation box, like in the recliner of our house. So
he's in the recliner of the house. I thought you weren't even going to be in the box. I thought he was just going to be sitting in the chair.
Right? They've been weekend at Bernie's.
But he's
it's
in
like
the box.
Psycho with the mom in the bed.
Talk to him a little bit, like, Dad, come on,
Dad's still out at the workbench.
I don't know how I feel about the tree. Like, am I really ready for Grandmother Willow to be out front? I don't
see a new movie, Weekend at Claire's Dad's.
I mean,
yeah,
my friend
wait.
had
do you have him though? Do you have him taking up a recliner? Like he's in a recliner?
Yeah, his recliner that he sat in, and now he's sitting in a box. It's a little bit different, but
so nobody else gets to use that recliner. It's like a shrine, really.
No, you know what's funny though? So when he died, first of all, he was not a heavy set man. He was like 250 or something. That's normal. He was 6'1", you know what I mean?
No, I got news for you. Listen, yes, it's normal for like, I don't want to pick a state.
Well, he's from Ohio though, and they grow bigger out there.
Right now, 250?
Well, he's not a Hollywood 250. He was like, he was
from Ohio.
He was whatever. He did not have a belly. Let me just say that. Anyway, when he died, we tried to donate his body to Ohio State medical, program.
Yeah, but Claire, to be fair, you can't just drop him off on the steps. There's forms to be filled out. You got to go through the right measures. You can't just dump him there at midnight and go, hey, he's all yours now.
Like the Goodwill drop-off, like the drop-off box. Cha-ching. No, he was a scientist. He really wanted to donate his body. That's what he wanted. So we called, and they're like, unfortunately, he's too heavy. And I'm like, oh my God, are you kidding me? So I'm like, all right, fine, just cremate him. Let's figure it out. So we cremated him, and then I was ordering his box, and I decided I don't want like an urn or something weird. I just want like a beautiful wooden box. So of course I ordered it from this person on Etsy who's like, I make cremation boxes for dogs. And I'm like, well, it's a human, so can you make it a little bigger? And they're like, how big? So it ended up being like quite large, turns out. If it's not in an urn, there's a reason that they do them in urns. I think it like hides how much mass of ashes there is. So anyway, we're way on topic.
No, we're totally on topic. And honestly, next time, just REI sells Yeti coolers. They're like, I don't know,
I mean,
40, 50 bucks. And they hold a lot. And you can put a couple beers in there. He's at a recliner. I mean, the whole thing writes itself. I'm confused.
It's kind of important, though, that like you can't get into that whatever device that the ashes.
Who has tried?
So what'd you say?
Who did somebody try?
Well, not my family, because I made sure it was locked. But I have heard stories of people's kids like getting in and sprinkling all the ashes around like the living room. Or
I know they have a problem with it at Disneyland in the Haunted Mansion, where people try to spread the ashes inside there. So,
oh my god,
they have an actual code. They have an actual code for it that they have to shut the ride down for X amount of time. If that code is called, it means somebody dumped it. It happens that much.
There's a dumping ashes code?
Yes, correct.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, it happens a lot.
At this pet crematorium place, did they have like a conversion table thing on the wall?
No, the crematorium was a
pounds, like,
he was returned to us just in a plastic bag. So that's
Sure.
Jamie, that's exactly how I want to go out. Where's Jamie? That comment. Where is that?
Deal with like, the whole like getting the box and taking it down. I'm like, I'm not transferring it. So took it back down to the, funeral home months and months later.
I'm with Jamie. Is it Reifman or Reifman? Yes. Viking funeral. I loved it. In SOB, they take him out and they put him in the boat with the wood and light it on fire. That's you got to do the flaming arrow. You fuel it up, you push it offshore, then flaming arrow, and put the little horns. Yes, that's what I want. I want that.
Yep. Jamie Kaler. Jamie is our neighbor across the street, actually.
Oh, nice, Jamie. There's a lot of I like some good Jamies.
Well, there's a place
I can't believe they wouldn't take him at $250 because you'd think it's like Applebee's. You're like, man, you're really getting your money's worth for this. I mean, I feel like
yeah.
And maybe he was 230. I don't know. Like he was not big. You know what I mean?
Right.
He for his frame, he looked like a normal Midwestern man.
You sure he wasn't about 190?
Yeah, maybe I'm 190 and I'm.
Well, I remember like growing up, he would call out his weight like 180, 190.
Let me ask you this. Here's how you know if somebody's maybe a little larger than they should be. Their main clothing they wear is a hockey jersey. Like when you're out and people are like guys are wearing hockey jerseys, you're like, okay. Why don't you just wear a fucking garbage bag?
So I don't know. I don't know. Like
your dad was a scientist. What kind of science?
He had his PhD in petroleum geology. He was a petroleum geologist. And basically excavated oil and sold it to different companies. I have so many interesting stories about him. He basically, when I was young, he was getting his PhD at Tulane in New Orleans. So this is my like 4 or 5 year old, 3, 4, 5 year old life with my sister. So he was very into geology, but I think he really wanted to be an architect. But at some point he was like, I got to make money. Like, I don't know what the architecture thing is going to do for me. So he went into geology.
I love that those are the two. It's not like, well, I'm in geology, but I always wanted to be a singer. It's like I'm in geology, but I always wanted to be in physics. It's like it's another.
Well, here's
kind of a nerd. Your dad's a nerd, man.
So he and my mom worked together since they were 14 in this rural town in Ohio. My mom grew up on an airport, a single strip airport. And my mom soloed a plane when she was 14 and learned to fly very young, as did her brothers. So when my dad wanted to start dating my mom's dad was like, you have to learn to fly first. So my dad had to learn to fly and get his pilot license, and then he was allowed to date my mom.
Wow.
And when we moved around, like when we
You had
moved
a
from
pilot's
Miami to
license.
New Orleans and New Orleans to Ohio, my uncle would fly down and we put everything in the plane, the little Cessna, and then fly to the next location instead of drive. It was crazy.
I just had to get a few shots of Jack Daniels and sing Guns N' Roses to get my wife.
I was going to ask very seriously, has a girl ever said, I'll go out with you if you do this? And I'll give you an example. I dated a girl and she really liked Harry Potter. And no, she wasn't 15 years old. She was like 30 years old. She was 30 years old, but she loved Harry Potter. And she made, and I think it's because I laughed at it and I used to pick on it and go, whatever. I think this was even before the movies or something. And she goes, she made me read one of the Harry Potter books. And I read one of the Harry Potter books to go out on a date with her. And it's a great book.
What?
They're really good. Harry Potter, by the way, they're really good books. I'm not going to lie to you. It was really good.
That's not the part that gets me. It's the fact that you put that effort, and that doesn't feel like you at all.
I mean, I'm not going to lie to you. I flew with the finger through. Like I picked up like 12 words a page, but I got it. I got the story. And I don't even think I read the first movie was out, so I think I read the second book.
I love reading young YA novels. Like I love reading. I love reading. I don't get to do it any amount that I want now that I'm a parent and working and all that. But if I had my choice, I'd rather read a book than do. You know, I see a movie or read a book or watch a great show.
I'm with Greg. I used to say, you know, I think every guy says it. I go, look, if the book's that good, trust me, they're going to make a movie in a year. Relax.
Exactly. I would rather get a root canal on the freeway than read.
Oh my gosh.
You know what's interesting? Is I bug my wife all the time. I'm like, I don't think our son is mine necessarily, so I need to get like a paternity test of some kind. And the other day we were sitting there and he goes, yeah, can I read my book at recess?
No.
I was like, I don't need a paternity test anymore. There's not a chance he's mine.
It's 0.
Yeah, I don't know. Reading for me is just such a colossal waste of time.
Me too.
You know?
Did you go back to Greg in your, like I did go back in my early 30s, I want to say, and I went, because I remember in high school, I was total Cliff Notes, and through college, I was like,
ooh.
I was actually going to do, I thought this would be a super great product. This was like back in college. I was like, there should be a tape set where it's like, it just gives you the highlights of books in like under 3 minutes to go, look, someone brings up Tom Sawyer at a party, say, yeah, sure, I read it. And then here's a couple obscure facts about it and a couple of things, and then move on in the classrooms. But I did go back in my 30s and I read a couple that I almost got through Moby Dick. I was so close, but it's like a billion pages that I could.
No, Jamie, my situation is so bad that the last time and the furthest I've gone in a book was 52 pages of The Firm, my junior year in college.
Good book, by the way.
Hey, not a bad book.
I like Grisham. I like John Grisham. I read every Michael Crichton, like Jurassic Park, Andromeda Strain.
This is the John Grisham I'm reading right now, which is the paperback. My mom gave it to me. It's called Innocent Man. It's a true story. It's good. It's really good. It's easy reading. All right, what's the last book you guys read? I'm curious.
Shit, I can't even tell you.
I can tell you easily. It was the book with no pictures. I read it last night. I read it 3 times in a row, I believe. And I also read Dragons Love Tacos.
Llama Red Pajama was my last book.
Yep. What's your favorite book, Greg, of all time? What's your favorite? Actually, Claire first. Claire, what's your favorite book?
Okay, I can't do a top favorite, but I will do I'm a completionist, so when I read everything the author has written, which is not a good thing. That's why I had to read this book, because I've read every other John Grisham novel, but this one. There's a couple I can totally recommend. First of all, my favorite
Claire, you get one book. That's the game. You get it's like what's your favorite movie? All right, are we talking the 90s? Are we talking detective dramas or a comedy? If it's comedy, but if it's a drama,
there's two. I gotta have 2, Jamie, and I read them both in the last 6 months or year. I don't know. I read I love Andy Weir. I loved The Martian, and I also loved his new book, Hail Mary. So Andy Weir is like, I'm a huge fan of his. So much that I like send him emails, and he has emailed me back.
All right. The Martian was a very good movie. I enjoyed it very much.
But the whole time I was watching it, I was like, wait, stop. You don't understand what's happening. This is why it's happening. And I would have to give like the whole backstory to, Brian. And he was like, I don't care about that. I'm like, but the movie doesn't make sense unless you know that.
Well, listen, just so I watched it, I don't want to sit here being confused for the rest of my life. He's on Mars, right?
Yes.
And then they get him home.
They get him home.
I got it. Okay, I got it.
Okay, then Hail Mary, that doesn't happen. So that's all I'm going to say there. Then the second book I would recommend to any women out there, any moms who just want some escapism, is Where the Crawdads Sing, which everyone pretty much has read at this point, but it is the most amazing book. It's amazing. I read it in a day. I sat, only my girls and I were home. I can't remember. The boys were like at a tournament or something. I sat in the bathtub, I had a bottle of wine, and I read that book cover to cover. That's it.
3 books. Greg, what's your favorite book of all time?
I'm telling you guys, you think I'm kidding. First of all, Dragons Love Tacos. That was on Cinemax last night. I was reading Encyclopedia Brown in 2nd grade, and that's about the best book I've ever read. I'm telling you, I don't
You've
like.
never read any books. Okay.
What is that one thing you just said? What is that one where the Crawdads?
Yeah, Where the Crawdads Sing.
I think I just auditioned for that. I think they're doing a TV show of that.
I hope not a TV show. That would.
I think it is. I don't think it's a movie. I think it's a show. I think it's like.
Well, it could be a 10-episode.
Yeah, like a mini series,
like 10-hour movie.
Well, they're just going to shoot it under the TV contract, so they don't have to pay everyone as much, and then make it into a.
It might be like that Little Fires Everywhere or whatever. They did a show on that. I think it's the same type. It might be a limited series. I don't know, but yeah, they're doing a show.
Jason, besides Marvel,
I knew you were going to attack me.
Number 72. What's your favorite book?
Actually, I really like The Call of Kilimanjaro, Jeff Belanger's book, where he talks about how he hiked, he climbed Mount Kilimanjaro, and he did it for his brother-in-law who died of cancer. And obviously I know him personally, so I knew he lived, but to go through and listen to him, the struggle of climbing that mountain, to me was one of the most inspirational books I've ever read.
I read that too. He was on our show, and it was great. It's a really, really great read. Yeah.
Really good, yeah.
Actually, I guess I don't read now, but my favorite book of all time is Grapes of Wrath. I love Steinbeck. I know Greg's looking at me like, F you, Jack.
No, I'm telling you, I remember cheating in high school. We were supposed to read
too. So in my 30s, I didn't have kids. I had a lot of free time. And I went back and I read some of the classics, and Grapes of Wrath. I love Steinbeck. I did read all Crichton. I actually, during the pandemic, when the pandemic first hit, I read The Andromeda Strain, which is super great. I actually did it as an audiobook. David Morse read it. It was fantastic. But you never read Jurassic Park, or you never read Jaws? You didn't read Jaws? Jaws is great.
No.
I read all that stuff, and all the Michael Crichton, all the Stephen King, which including the extended version of The Stand, which is a great book. And
I love Stephen King. People kind of get goof, and I'm always like, I went back and read The Shining because everyone's like, it's totally different from the movie, and the book is absolutely terrifying. It's absolutely that dude. Yeah, they're good books. They're really good books.
Really good. Misery, another great movie. Also, Kathy Bates, obviously very good in that movie. But the book, phenomenal. He's such a great writer. And I remember getting into an argument in high school with my EP English teacher, or AV English teacher, whatever, and being she's like, no, you have to pick a more accomplished writer. I was like, no, I think Stephen King's amazing. He writes accessible material, and isn't that what being a novelist is about?
Hey,
it's not about writing for the
Grisham. Same with Michael Crichton. They're churning it out. Yes. Yeah.
James Patterson.
You made Greg feel bad because Greg doesn't. I actually haven't read a book in a long time though.
No, you can't cover it now, Jamie. You don't cover it now. What about Armageddon? Did you guys read that? Ben Stiller wrote it, or Ben?
Yeah. I love the Buscemi character in that. It's really, really good.
Yeah. No, did you say AP English?
Yeah, or EP, whatever it was called back in the day. I don't know.
To be fair, Claire, Greg went to University of Missouri, I believe, and
That's right.
I don't think you have to read to get a degree from there, do you?
It's
Angel
actually
is one of my favorite books of all time. Yes, who just put that up? Was that Jamie? Oh, that's Eric. Oh, another
Okay,
Reisman.
so I love Dan Brown. I've read all his stuff. Amazing.
The Da Vinci Code, if you want to laugh, but the Da Vinci Code is one of the best reads. Every chapter, you're like, you cannot stop. You have to go to the next chapter.
What? And I just recently introduced my kids to that movie because it's just really good. Are you effing with me?
No, I love the book so much that the movie sucked because it's such a mystery. But when you know every twist and turn in the maze from the book, the movie's useless because the whole movie are like I see everything.
What I said with the Martian, you start explaining it to the person, like, oh, they cut out this, they had to cut out all this. That's why I really like now that they're taking adaptations and making them miniseries and taking like 10 1 hour or 1 hour and 20-minute episodes instead of trying to pack like this amazing novel into 90 minutes.
It is weird. Like movies are like the 90 minute to 2 hour is not really happening now. They're going back and they're going deeper, like Dope Sick or whatever the thing is. It's now like a 1 hour miniseries. And honestly, I love it's like a 10-hour movie you get to watch over a couple weeks. I love it. I think it's fantastic.
Danny Strong, shout out, one of my besties from so long, wrote Dope Sick. I'm super proud of him. He was on Buffy. That's where we know each other from, like 20 years ago. And he's just such an amazing writer and a great card player as well, I might add.
Do you play cards?
Now you got Greg.
Yeah, you got him.
Whoa!
Did you see Greg go? I'm sorry. Are we in a poker game? What just happened? Did we just?
Play, Greg.
Are we dealing? Actually, we have to do a Parents Lounge poker game.
Poker night. Yeah. That's a fantastic idea.
Yes.
Danny and I did a celebrity poker tournament in Vegas, with a bunch of other people, and we were the final two. And we went head to head, and he got me.
Really?
Now it's my turn.
These are the things that yes, poker. I'm in.
It's funny. Peter DeLuca says, Cromer, it's funny you said the firm only flipped 52 pages for you. It's literally the book that got me reading overall when I lived with big hags. Is that your buddy?
Hey? Oh, these are Missouri guys. Pete DeLuca he lived across the street from me, and we used to play football in the front yard. And he was
best movie ever. Spiders 2. I don't know Spiders 2. I didn't even see Spiders 1, so I'm not sure.
You don't know Spiders 2?
Oh, obviously you're in it.
I mean,
are we bringing that trailer? Last week we talked about me and Dragon Wars. Can we find the trailer for Spiders?
No, we got nailed for that last week.
Who cares? All it says we can't it on YouTube, but it's worth it because we showed my Dragon War.
Spiders
2.
Hold on.
Spiders. I was in Bulgaria for like 2 months, and this was like there were internet cafes. It cost $40 a minute to call someone back home. Everybody smoked like a chimney. Like you couldn't go in anywhere. It just was like wild dogs everywhere. Bull.
That's like Mexico, like just wild dogs everywhere.
Wild dogs everywhere to the point. There's a story that's not comedy. It doesn't serve comedy too well. But yeah, we stayed in a Russian-run hotel.
Hold on. To be fair, we just made a lot of jokes about Claire's dead dad. So I think everything's on the table.
That's a good point.
I have the trailer ready.
Oh, should we watch the trailer for Spiders 2?
No, my God.
This is going to get us kicked off of YouTube.
Go, Jason.
Play it. Hit it, Jason.
Oh, this is terrible.
What are you talking about? You got a free trip to Bulgaria. Shut up.
Yeah.
Here we go. Make the size bigger.
Yes, there you go, buddy.
You were very lucky. Not just that we found you. We actually have a real doctor on board. For his own good. No, it isn't.
Surrounded by spiders. Spiders. Racing against time.
What the hell did you do to my husband?
By this time tomorrow, he'll be a new man. The courage of one woman.
He's gone. He's not coming back. Take her to the lab.
Will they escape?
It is not going to happen to you.
Too bad you'll never make it. Red Lab is calling.
with spiders. And they are more vicious, more cunning than anything that ever walked the face of the earth. Trapped. Let's go.
How long is the trailer?
This is the movie. This is the whole movie.
All right. Thanks.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
I'll tell you what. So it's a Russian-owned hotel, like mafia-owned, completely. There was a casino in the basement. Richard Grieco was staying upstairs doing Midnight Express 12 or something, or a remake or something. Anyway, we're in the hotel room. Dogs barking all night, late, and the guy I shared a wall with played the captain on the ship, Daniel Quinn. Rest in peace. He's no longer with us. We had an early call time, and these dogs were outside barking, and I hear him jump on his phone in his room, and he's like, "Can somebody get rid of these dogs? Just shut up these dogs! Like, I gotta sleep. We gotta be up in 2 hours." He slams the phone down. No joke. Like 60 seconds later, you hear pop, 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 pop. Dogs in the dumpster the next morning. I was like, I hope I don't make too much noise.
That's crazy, dude.
Yeah,
It's crazy.
yeah. And they had those, the scenes where there was a spider kind of like crawling up on top of me. It was literally every Bulgarian smoked like 4 packs a day. This Bulgarian crew was sitting there, and the day we were shooting that, I'm laying on a gurney, and they're it's supposed to be a spider coming up and, like, I don't know what he was doing, impregnating me in the chest. I don't know, but I'm laying there, and I'm supposed to be like struggling, and I look over at the camera guys, and they're looking, and these 2 Bulgarian guys at the foot of the table, they each have a metal pole with a big spider leg on it, and they're just like pawing at me with it with a cigarette in their mouth, like this, and I'm supposed to be like, It was terrible, but I did go bird watching with Bull Shannon from Night Court.
I mean, what more do you want from life?
That was Richard Mole, right?
Richard Mole, yeah. He came, he goes, "Hey, Greg, you want to go hiking?" I was like, "Yeah, let's hike." And we were in the mountains and snow and stuff. And he showed up at my room. We went down out to the front of the hotel and started walking up the hill. We went about 10 feet. And he stopped. He got out his binoculars. He got his bird book out. And I was like, "Oh, this isn't a hike. This is we're looking for, yellow tailed. Yeah.
So, Greg, have you let your kids watch the spider movie? What is it, Spiders 2?
I mean, they could watch it, I guess, if they wanted to. I would never lead them to it. I'm sure they'll find it.
Who's in Spiders 1, by the way?
Yeah.
Nobody knows. There's no connection between the two. I think it was like one of those Eric Roberts, they're all the Bulgarian, they're all the Avi Lerner movies from New Image that are just, one is just as bad as the next. But I tell you what, they actually, somehow they do well in like back in the day when there was like a video, like Blockbuster and stuff.
Yeah. I can see that. Yeah. We should do a screening one night. We did one here. I have a neighbor who was in some crazy movies. He was a child actor, and he was in some crazy ass movies. Yeah. And we did a screening one night. We played the movie, and then he would go pause it, and we'd pause the movie, and he'd tell a story. There was certain actresses in it that were literally insane, and he'd go, just before this scene was shot, she blew her nose in those curtains. She was so jacked up or so, and he was like, all right, let it roll. And then he'd stop it. And he'd tell a story. It was awesome.
That's great.
Like 4 hours with the stories, and everyone was just drinking. And I want to do that with we have so many friends who are in crazy movies, like probably Clare.
Well, yeah.
Greg, I mean, it's crazy because you're Greg, and I was in a spider movie with a Greg Grumberg who is coming on this podcast next Tuesday. Mm-hmm. And it was called Big Ass Spider. And it was originally called Mega Spider. And when the script came in, the offer came through my agent was basically like, yeah, it doesn't really get any worse than this. I was like, well, I'm going to do it anyway. I don't care. So it turned out like super funny. And now Greg Grumberg is coming on next week. So Greg, you're gonna have to come in and talk about your spider movie with the other Greg. And
Compare notes. Yeah.
What happened to me? I got offered a straight offer to do Kiss of the Spider Woman. I guess it was some spider movie, Kiss of the Spider Woman or something. And I think William Hurt went on to play part or something, and Raul Julia. I don't know how the movie did.
You said no.
I said no, it's not for me. But
Jason, do you have the big ass spider trailer?
I do. Yes. Hold, please.
Okay, let's. This was. I like to say this was the Ghostbuster of spider movies.
That's a power claim.
Robo says, "Please tell me Big Ass Spider has spiders in butts."
Well, sort of. Yes, it does actually. Okay.
This spider porn.
And this was a theatrical.
We can only hope.
I always love when it opens on slow mo. You know they mean it.
Do you have the sound? Wait, go back.
And it has a defining moment,
That all movies need that.
but none have experienced.
Right.
You better hide your kid. You better hide your wife. Or get the big ass spider on the loop, nigga.
Spiders happen to be my specialty. I become a spider to catch a spider.
Isn't this like the biggest spider ever? You could be super exterminator. So I'm gonna help you, and you know like how? Like Robin helps a bad man. Okay, so what is the biggest spider ever?
It's 20 inches long and black.
Sounds fun. Oh, God.
This is so gross.
Oh yeah, what?
Look at this.
No, describe it. I'm not gonna look.
This is, without question, the biggest spider on record.
Hey, Claire!
Anything else?
Let's go, man.
What?
Don't be scared.
I'm not scared. This thing's huge. Highly poisonous, aggressive, fast, smart, strong. This is a big ass spider.
If I see the spider, I'm gonna put his ass.
This town has no idea what's coming. God help us all. We're gonna kill some spiders. We're gonna kill some spiders dead.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's good for him though, because that's more, they're at least they're making fun of it. You know what I mean? Like
You
we're
have
being
to.
serious.
You have to take the piss out of it. Yeah.
We're doing a sequel, and it's based in Mexico, and it's about cockroaches. So that's all I can say at this point.
Yeah, see, that's better. That's like Sharknado with an even better sense of humor. Well, I don't know. Sharknado's sense of humor is pretty good because they really are acting like it's life and death, and they're not even trying to make it like a tongue-in-cheek thing. I mean, they are, but they're not saying it with.
But here's the difference. The premise is so insane because it's sharks in a tornado, that's the joke alone. If everyone else plays it straight, then it works like Airplane. It works that way.
Mm.
Right.
When it's just a spider, like you're literally on a cargo ship with spiders killing you, you have to make the jokes to be a part of it. That's funny.
Yeah. You would ask what I want, like with the kids, if I let them watch Spider. We honestly, like most of the movies I've watched with my kids have been 80s movies. Like I like to watch, maybe if I'm just selfish now that I just said it out loud, because I like Breakfast Club. I like Weird Science. I like, all these Midnight Run, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. Like that's what I kind of like to have them watch. Maybe it's, yeah.
How old are your kids, Greg?
What?
How old are your kids?
6. My son will be 7 in next month or in April, and my daughter's 9.
Okay.
I think we should film you and your son, 7 years old,
Yeah.
watching Midnight Run, where you're like, the questions would be like, what's a bail bondsman? All right, so people go, like, I'm not sure Midnight Run, I'm pretty sure it's R-rated. I don't think that's for a 7-year-old. Just so when he's like, yeah, we're a little surf and turf going, I don't think that's for a 7-year-old.
No, you know what, Greg? I'm with you. I let my kids watch anything that doesn't have sex, too much like sex, because I'm like, I don't want them actually watching Disney or Nickelodeon or, God bless those companies, love them. But, I would rather my kids get like, first of all, the artistic, like cinematic sort of like artistic whatever ingrained in them from an early age.
Yeah.
And second, like life isn't like that.
Right. And by the way, I don't know about you guys, but the older you get, you realize how your personality, but mostly your sense of humor is shaped by the things you watch. When I think back, I'm like, I loved Airplane. I loved Faulty Towers. I loved, Holy Grail. Like you realize, oh, I love Jason Bateman, all the shows he did. And I look back on it and I'm like, oh, I really picked up a lot of I'm kind of stealing stuff, like without a person and a dry sense of humor or whatever it might be, you really pick up. And those kind of shows, I feel like they really do make an impression, and they give you like a sense of timing and humor and dryness. Not everything is just like a Purple Dinosaur. You know what I mean?
Greg, would you let them watch better things?
Would I let them watch better things? No, absolutely not. They can watch it. Yeah. No, God, no.
They wouldn't get it. They're too young. They wouldn't get it.
No, they wouldn't get it. And also it's just raunchy sometimes. And my character being one of the worst offenders, I don't know if you guys have seen the show, but I'm definitely not any sort of a role model in that show.
Let me ask you, because I know I'm familiar with a lot of your work. Have you ever been a role model? Doesn't feel like that's your go-to character type.
No.
You're like me. The only people go, man, you came off like a dick, and I go, trust me, that's the only way I work, man. But,
that's my specialty, man.
Yeah. They'll go like, Jamie, we literally brought you in because of your smarm quotient. Can you just tailor it up just a smooch? Add just that much more smarm.
I've actually had one of the casting directors that brought one time was like, yeah, just Cromer it up a little bit. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah. I get that all the time.
Yeah. No, I wouldn't let them watch better things. No.
So, okay, based on kids and what we're talking about, like with series or movies, whatever, like, because Jason, your kids are a little bit younger, so they may be doing something different. But what are you watching with your kids right now? Jamie, Jason, Greg.
Jamie.
Well, earlier, just before this, I was watching Jurassic Park with my daughter, with my son.
The new ones with.
No, well, that's what happened. We were watching, like, Fallen Kingdom was on, and I go, this one's crap. And so the old one was on as well. And so we were watching Jurassic Park, and she loved it. She loved it. Even when the dinosaurs were eating people, she's like, are dinosaurs real? And I go, they were, unless you talk to some of the population, and then they weren't. But they are, they were here a long time ago.
They're real if you talk back.
They're really, that's right. But like one daughter can't even hear like serious music. If there's a show and it's like doom, 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 it gets a little scary. She's like, I can't. Like she can't be in the other room and hear it. She freaks out. But the other one's like, I think she almost does it to annoy the older one. She's like, no, I'll watch that. And she'll watch anything. She'll watch the scariest shit. And she's like, I love that. The little one. Yeah. Greg, what are you watching with your kids?
Well, I was watching Anne with an E until now. I know the stories that I can give. But I think I would say, I watched some of the like I said, those 80s movies, and then we just finished watching. I decided it was time for them to watch the Star Wars the whole deal, but we couldn't decide. Do we watch it
in chronological movie order?
Yeah.
Yeah,
we opted to go by chronological, not by the story, but by 4, 5, 6 when they came out, because the effects get progressively better as you go, and so that's, you don't want to go backwards in that department.
Yeah, right.
But also, in my opinion, those were the best ones, so I wanted to get them hooked in. And then the third reason was they're 6 and 9. They're not really following the ins and outs of the storyline quite as much as you would be at 14 or 15, you know what I mean? So we did that, and they actually liked it a lot more than they followed it a lot more than I thought they would. And those movies, by the way, they hold up pretty good effects wise. I know they've enhanced them or done whatever they do.
Yeah.
You know how good they are with technology. I know they've done something to them to make them look good, but they're pretty good.
I won't let my kids watch them. I'm making them read the books.
It's gonna be a long time.
laser beam shoots. I go, trust me, when you see it, it'll work.
Yeah.
It'll make
pew,
sense then.
pew, 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 pew. The stormtrooper misses again. Pew, pew. Boy, the stormtrooper's a lousy shot. Pew, 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 pew. Why can't he shoot Luke? I don't know. Luke just can't get shot. Stormtroopers are terrible aims, man. They are terrible.
They're so bad. Have you seen the blooper where the stormtrooper hits his head on the door that's going up?
Yes. Yeah, super funny. That's actually better than the movie for me. I'm not a big Star Wars guy.
Yeah, no, me neither. I'm not big. I never was. I mean, I guess I was into him more than I was. Jason, close your ears, but more than I was like the comic stuff, or the superheroes or anything. I liked Spider-Man and Superman, but I wasn't into it as much as I was like other stuff. I don't know what. Yeah.
Dude, I like Jaws and like that kind of stuff. I didn't love Star Wars. Although Empire Strikes Back, I think the first couple, Empire Strikes Back, I really liked.
I've never seen them. No, I've really never seen them.
Then don't watch
Star Wars?
do a broadcast.
I haven't watched
live stream fundraiser where we bid on Jason's reactions to different things in the movie.
Never.
I'm shocked. I've
never seen Star Wars.
Correct. I've never seen them.
Any of them.
No.
What?
The only things I saw were the Ewok movies that were on the Disney Channel when I was a kid, and that's it. That's the only thing I've seen.
Have you seen like The Mandalorian?
No.
Solo?
No.
Wait, there were Ewok movies? When were you born?
77.
I think he saw Gremlins and thought they were Ewoks.
No. There's two of them. There's Battle for Endor and the
You
Caribbean.
love Jobo. By the way, Jobo went all caps. What the blank, Jason? How is that humanly? Dude, I don't even like them. I've seen them all. How did you not see Star Wars?
Well, so as a kid, I wasn't allowed to watch them, and then as an adult, I was just like, I have no interest in this now. So I have never. Mulligan gave me so much shit about this because, like, obviously that's her world,
I'm
and
not giving you shit. I'm just like for someone who loves like the MCU and whatever you've said. Like, I'm just surprised you haven't seen them, and I'm also wanting to monetize that.
Look at his frame, by the way. It's like Captain America, Teenage Mutant Ninja. He's got an Iron Man chair going on. And then he's like, "Oh no, Star Wars. Sorry, guys, that's not my jam."
That's what's so shocking. I'm sitting next to a fiddle fig, and I've seen it.
Yeah, I never saw him.
So let me ask you this though. You said that you weren't allowed to.
Right.
I'm trying. What was the reason? What was your parents' reasoning for not?
My relationship with my father is complicated, and I don't know what his actual reason for. But
Is he in a box?
He may have been. Like, I know about them to some extent. He may have been a Sith. Is that the thing?
Yeah.
Yeah. So like I don't know. I wasn't allowed to watch them. He would be like, "They're garbage. You're not effing watching them." That kind of thing. And I just wasn't allowed.
He actually auditioned for Han Solo and didn't get the part. And then he's like, "You're not watching that." Shh. What kind of father's like, "You're not watching Star Wars"? Even I would be like, "Yeah, you watch whatever you want." Okay.
That's also something that was.
Go ahead, Claire.
No, go ahead.
No, I had to sneak Ghostbusters on VHS as a kid because I wasn't supposed to watch it, but I desperately wanted to. And so like I would get it from the library. My mom would she was like my dealer, and she would get it for me, and then we'd hide it till he would leave, and then I would watch Ghostbusters. But Star Wars never made it through the cracks.
Unfortunately, I was sneaking very different movies than that on VHS when I was.
Right?
Yes. But that's crazy.
You went into the video store and they had the bead curtain in the back. You're like, what's behind the bead curtain?
Let me go back here.
Sometimes, I feel like that's what the internet's like now, because I think kids are going to click on things and seeing them, and then immediately in the back of their head, they're like, I shouldn't be seeing, and I don't even want to see this. I remember seeing some things through the curtain where I was like, I wish I hadn't seen that. Nobody needs that. That's a terrible thing in my opinion.
Speaking of the internet, it's uploading now, but my targeted ads today became this, and I feel attacked. because apparently I'm watching too much, and I don't. I mean, when is?
Wait, put that back up. I have. How to quit. So this is Sarah Brewer coaching. She's a real coach.
Yes.
This is right? And she says free training. How to quit viewing pornography, even if you tried in the past. But like, what about some guy goes, oh, I never tried before. You're going to be my first. She's like, oh, even better. That's going to work out even better. I listened to the training and haven't slipped up once. This hasn't happened in over 6 months, and I haven't needed to restrict my internet access. Thank you for all that you do, Jake.
Good for you, Jake. Way to be, Jake.
Starting out, and I've already seen a drastic decrease in my porn usage. Seeing your masterclass advertisement was a godsend. I literally don't know the last time I felt this much hope about being able to.
Unfortunately, I can't tell you what the rest of it is because I didn't click the ad. All I know is that I feel like somebody's watching my computer, and I hope they don't find the file taxes 2017.
The first thing when that came up, the only thing I saw was, man, that girl's hot. I wish she'd take her clothes off. That's bad? That's a bad approach to have towards those.
Well, that's the hook, Jamie. They bait you in, and they know what you're into.
Like seriously, try not to look if you can.
This is my master class. Yeah.
Well, when I read it, I did not read master class.
No.
You can fill in the blank.
I know, I'm with you. That's why when I heard it, the first, yeah, we're all adults here. We know what's happening there.
Dude, you got a clear history. Come on, you got a clear history.
It's my wife. It's not me.
You got a clear history.
I'll have a talk with her, Kaler. I might have a talk.
If you're really smart.
You showed us the porn ad, but you didn't say what show you're watching with your kids. So now I'm really worried because what's getting aggregated to you, for delivery options has me concerned.
Well, my kid's seen some shit. Kaler knows. So we didn't know that he had come into the room undetected.
Kaler knows. And they were arrested, and then Clare and Greg took the show over.
Yeah,
we lost custody. He lost custody.
Cromer and Kramer.
By the way, here's another little trick. You don't have to just clear history. Just use different browsers. But these are things I hear in group circles that some of the chat rooms I'm in. People say
it's an important tip. Thank you, Kaler.
Right. No, you might have a dedicated server towards that department. Or a different computer even would be fantastic.
A burner computer?
A burner. Untraceable.
I don't want to go down this road.
Claire's got a burner computer.
Wait.
No.
Wait.
Trust me, Claire, right now there's some
nervous, Kramer.
Right now there's some guy who's watching a movie called Buffy the Vampire Slayer. You're in it.
On Golden Blonde. Have you guys? So wait, do you hide it? Like if you're watching it, do you hide it from your spouse?
Oh, she's usually the one that's looking.
Don't you know how to use a private browser? I don't want to go into too much detail now. But
at first, I don't know why the porn ad came because we're more hands-on here.
Honestly, I put photos on that, but you put the photo on.
Well, I put my own photo on there. Yes,
you got that ad sent to you.
It was one of my targeted ads that came up through the feed when your computer and phone are listening to you.
Yeah.
Apparently, I'm looking at too much, or I didn't. When is too much? But
Jamie, go ahead.
No, I don't. And recently, it's been a dry spell, so I don't know.
It's a wet spell. Go ahead, Greg. What do you got?
No, I was going to say, Jamie, have you ever had the issue where you were with your wife and the kids walked in? Or a kid?
Did I? Oh, Jason has. I have no.
No?
No.
We didn't know ours.
You're not having enough sex.
Wait, you didn't know your kid came in?
So here's how it went down. We went to the pediatrician. And my pediatrician said to him at 5 years old, said, Jace, how are you today? My son looked her dead in the eye and said, last night, Mom dressed up as Catwoman and she was on Dad's chest and she scratched him and we went, meow.
True. That's
And
absolutely.
I just turned to Greg and I just started reading the eye chart, and I was just like, I don't.
W.
What
Look,
did
I get it.
what did the doctor say?
She was a class act. She never said a word, and I was waiting for it. I was like, anytime now, I'm gonna get nailed for this. And as I was walking out, she leans in and she just goes, "Please tell Catwoman I said hello." And that was all she said as I was leaving.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Pretty funny. I have a this is a crazy ass story, but it's I'll try to get through as quickly as humanly possible. I was in my early 20s and I was living in San Diego and it was blazing hot. And Greg, did you ever everyone goes through that phase where they sleep in the nude? Did you do it at one year in your life?
Wait, did you say phase?
Sleep, yeah. Do you still sleep in the nude?
Oh, I love it all the time.
Do you? I did it for a while. I'll tell you why I stopped. Here's what happened. So I was in San Diego. I was in my mid-20s maybe, and I was sleeping nude. But it was really hot, and the sheets were off or whatever. And my phone rang. Sunday morning, my mother was calling to check in, and I was on the phone with my mother. And your arm is just a certain length, and it lands. It doesn't have to be doing anything, but lengthwise, it will. If you just put it on your body lengthwise, the hand lands in a certain area. That's just physics. That's right. I wasn't doing anything, but my hand was basically. Sometimes it just you lay your hand there to go. Let's just make sure everybody's still home. You know what I mean? Just to make you're checking. You're not. It's nothing sexual about it, but your hand is cupping everything, like a bowl of fruit. It's like a little bowl of fruit. You know what I'm talking about. So I'm on the phone with my mother, and I'm holding my fruit, and the sheets are off. I'd forgotten my girlfriend was coming over that morning, and so I guess one of my roommates. I had roommates back then. I'm Navy. I was in the Navy, and the door was open, and she walked in and walked upstairs and walked right into my room. Opened the door. Nothing. Phone, hand, cupping, nothing else. And she was like, "Oh my God, what is happening?" And I was like, No, I'm not. I wasn't. I'm just on the phone. I was just nothing. I wasn't doing anything. I was just it's just the length of my arm. It's where it would land naturally. And she goes, "Who are you on the phone with?" And I was like, "I go on the phone with my mother." And then I don't think we went out much longer after that. I think that was pretty much the end of that relationship. And
that's fantastic.
I'd forgotten that story until we were done. And then I remember trying to throw clothes on to chase her out. She was running away from the house. This guy's clinically insane. And
she's like, I'm good. Bye.
Those are stories you just don't bounce back from. That's where you're like, well, this relationship's over. It's like an end of a Seinfeld episode where it's like, well, it didn't work out. We'll see what next week's episode holds.
Right.
Yeah. Have you, Greg? Have the kids walked in on you?
Yeah. We have one. Well, not the kids.
Oh yeah. No, we let them be part of it. We built little bleachers. There's some stands they can watch. It's a life lesson. It's all part of the family relationship. We all sleep in the same bed. It's kosher.
It's an open door policy. We have saloon doors on the bedroom.
That's awesome.
I remember walking in on my parents.
Ooh.
And it was the morning of a big audition that I had, back when I was 14 or something.
This was last week, by the way.
Actually, it was it was, I remember this very clearly. And I was I backed out of the door and went downstairs and did my thing. And the next day there was a hook and eye lock put on their bedroom door. And
the couch was slid over in front of the door.
Yeah, that's done.
Greg, what happened to you?
We were upstairs. My wife's out front. I'm sure she's gonna come running in the front door if she happens to have this on. But we were upstairs, and the kids. My daughter came into. We had for some reason we were not in the bed, but we were on the other side of the bed, between the bed and the window that faces the backyard. And
on the floor.
It was on the floor for I don't know why. I don't know. Truthfully, I don't remember.
You're 15 years old. There's a bed right there. What are you, stupid? I'm so confused. Would you like to be comfortable or
like put her on the bed?
My wife was on.
Did it start in the bed and it just got a little acrobatic, or what happened?
That's like a guy who's been in prison for 20 years and can't sleep in the bed, so he sleeps on the floor next to the bed.
Like Tom Hanks from Castaway. He's like,
yeah, exactly, Claire. I can't. The bed doesn't feel right. Can we do it on the floor? Wait, what's happening? I went to prison.
Did you just get out of prison, Greg?
Well. So anyway, one thing led to another on the floor next to the bed, and maybe we were plugging something in and somebody got
clearly
bothered. I don't know.
Using the vacuum? What's happening? What, you were plugging something in? You're like, the lamp doesn't reach from the table. You know what? We should have texted.
We have this game called Carpet Shampooer.
All right, that makes
sense.
Oh,
okay. All right.
So anyway, the door opens and it was my daughter. I can't remember. I think it was my daughter, not my son. And I just shot up, and I was like, "Hey, babe," and she's like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "Mom and I we're putting up a tent. We're gonna camp." And so now, like the last 8 years, the last 4 years, it's kind of like, "Hey, you want to go camping?"
Oh, that's a good callback.
That's a good callback. Yep.
Yeah.
It's funny. I don't like camping, but now I kind of like camping.
Yeah. We haven't been camping ever since.
No, God, no.
No, it was funny though. That was the only time really that there's been like a thing where you're like, oh no, because you don't know what, did they put 2 and 2 together? Probably not, but you don't know for sure. And so you're like walking around on eggshells with the kids for some reason. And probably she really just thought we were camping out,
But that's where Greg, going back to the start of the episode, that's where I would dive in a car conversation the next day, maybe 2 days, let 2 days pass, then say like, hey, when you walked in, like, what were you thinking? Like, what was going on? Like, do you actually want to go camping? And let the kid be like, Mom, I knew you were lying. Or Dad, I knew that was a total lie. Like, obviously you guys were having sex or whatever, but give your kids an out so that they know that it was a weird situation as well.
Yes. But I think because at the time I think she was like 6. So I don't think there's any way I literally think she just saw me kind of look up and she thought we were camping on the side of the bed.
Like a meerkat. He just peered.
I was out of my
oh my God. That's a great visual, Jason. Thank you. The show.
Here's what I do. I just keep a dozen chocolate vanilla cupcakes from Gelson's down I keep them in the kitchen. And what happens anytime I go, hey, did you grab one of the cupcakes and help yourself? And then they get sick and they forget. They're so worried about vomiting that they forget what they just watched.
Go in, have a cupcake.
Bringing it home. Right. At the 90-minute mark.
That's the professional. Right at 1:29.
We do this every week. Every week we go, all right, let's keep it under an hour. I told you when we spoke, we're going to try to keep it under an hour, but at the 90-minute mark, we all start to go, I got to go put my kids to bed at some point.
Yeah. We'll get fun.
Dude, we didn't even it's so funny. I uploaded a ton of photos that we were going to talk about. My daughter had surgery yesterday. Jason had a bunch of crazy shit go down.
I'll talk about it next week.
Yeah, we're just gonna push it all next week. Today
daughter okay?
Everything's okay. It was,
Claire or Hannah?
It was Hannah. I'll tell the whole story. I have photos and stuff of it for next week. Did you see your shadow? It's 6 more weeks of winter. Yeah, exactly. We missed Kate Mulligan tonight. She wasn't with us. She had a date night, I think, or something, right?
No, they did a staycation with their son. He had spring break this week.
Yeah. So they're off somewhere playing. So we'll hear those kinds of stories. Greg, you have to come back. We're gonna do. You're in the parental group here now, man.
I'd love to, man. I'd love to. I get stories every week from these kids. It's an endless supply of fun.
You're like here, so
I love it. I had a good time.
Super fun, man. Such a fun hang. Anybody got anything they want to wrap up with? Greg, Better Things is on right now. I think it's the last season.
Final season is airing right now. I think like 4 episodes left on FX, and then they all end up on Hulu, so you can watch the whole.
Go check out. It's a great show. It's super funny, and Pam's hilarious and stuff.
She's
Claire,
great.
you have Fan Addicts, the podcast that's still killing it.
yes, and we're gonna have you on, Jamie and Jason. You guys are gonna come on, and we're gonna do like some sort of like cross promotion. So yes, that will happen soon. So yes, great.
And you can find me over at Sarah Brewer's.
That's when you know when the internet starts to go, dude, seriously, you gotta listen. Like when the internet's like, listen, I see everybody and everybody's going at it full tilt all day, but you, sir, you have gone above and beyond the call of duty.
I was concerned because I feel like my laptop and my phone staged an intervention without me knowing, and it was a lot. Big day.
If it was years ago, that little paper clip would have popped up in the corner and gone like, "Hey, Jason, you gotta quit it. You're really gonna hurt yourself. Stop now." By the way, that's Sarah Brewer. I might take her class because she's hot.
I know, it looks like interesting.
What's really funny is if all of a sudden you went in and then she's like, "Hey, you should probably kind of start that, but have you heard of OnlyFans? Because I have an account that I think you would really." It would be the most elaborate trap. It would be like if you
easiest marketing strategy ever. Like perfect marketing strategy.
Yeah, if you were a drug dealer and you started to like host a Narcotics Anonymous meeting, and you're like, "Hey, if you're ever feeling about like if it's like midnight and you really feel like you're gonna go off and do drugs, you should call me." Yeah.
Well, I commented on the ad because I noticed there was like thousands of comments. So I wrote, "I like what I like," and one dude who was a pastor wrote just a sad face icon on my thing.
Wait, why was the pastor in there? Is my question.
I think it's a faith-based service. Apparently, I've lost my way, Greg.
Yep.
Pretty soon you're going to be going to camp in upstate Indiana. Like half the camp will be like, "You're not gay," and the other half like, "Seriously, you're doing too much porn."
They were all good till the pineapple got involved.
We got to wrap this thing up. Did Grunberg say he's in for next week?
Yes, he is. Greg
I think
Cromer.
he is. Greg Grunberg is going to be here next week. He's been in everything. I think
Heroes, Lost,
Felicity. Played my husband in Big Ass Spider, or my boyfriend in Big Ass Spider, and my husband in Tales of Halloween, and just a totally amazing. What was the other show? The Client with Jennifer Loveheart. He's just a total amazing guy. So he will be super fun to have on. Not as fun as Greg Cromer, but
no, I knew Cromer was going to be great.
You're alphabetically you're winning. So that's all I have to say.
So
Super
far.
fun. And hey, we got to figure out how to make Jason watch Star Wars where we can like watch him watch Star Wars.
We have to live stream him watching it for the first time, where everybody
we can do that, right? Can't we do that?
Yeah, well,
or on his face.
you have to be careful about how we did it, but it could be done.
But it's not a big deal because Star Wars isn't a really super famous film, so people might not even notice that we're playing it live.
No, you don't have to play Star. Everybody watches along at their home. They watch along.
Oh, you just shoot me watching it.
We're watching Jason watch it. So that's the.
I think that's how Sarah Brewer got my name, Claire.
I'm looking into the Sarah Brewer thing. All right, listen, everybody. Greg Cromer, look him up. Clare Kramer, Jason Gowan. I'm Jamie Kaler. This is the Parents Lounge Tuesday Live. For the love of God, do it.
Thank you,
And
guys.
thank you for coming. I know you had a lot of comments. We didn't get to them.
Subscribe,
Thank you.
like, and love Claire even more. All right, that's it for the Parents Lounge. We'll see you guys next week, unless we do some random show on a Thursday, and then we'll see you then. We don't know.
Good night, everybody.